Welcome back to Extra Points. I'm Al Lorenzen here with two representatives from William Penn University, Executive Vice President John Otteson and Board of Trustees, Board of Directors Joe Crookham, who also, for most of our folks here in Iowa, know you're pretty involved with a company called Musco Lighting, and
spend a little time with that.
Yep, and that kind of keeps you busy. But Joe, obviously, I know how passionate you are about this great state we live in, about young people, about education, and how our communities are being impacted as we move forward. As you've been down this road and your work with William Penn, how do you see that? What should some of our educators be looking at as we're in a state where when we grew up, we were tops in the country in education, and now as a country we've slipped, and now as a state within the country we've slipped. And it seems to me that as universities and colleges are trying to remain relevant and look at content delivery and look at all those paradigms, any thoughts on how that trickles down or how that impacts our primary education?
Yeah, I believe that the universities need to be discovering the new paths. Most inventions is discovery rather than intentionally setting out to do a specific way of that. And universities can do that, and I think William Penn University is becoming very nimble in this discovery process. And we're working with the local high schools, trying to build programs there, trying to find ways to get the digital world tied into that. I mean, I like to point out to people that we're 0.03 of a second from Beijing, China by internet.
Amen.
And so we better learn how to use these tools because the world's all very close at hand.
I took my daughter to Europe this summer, and she had studied French all the way through high school, and that was our deal that I would take her. I had lived and played in Europe, and we're sitting on next to the Seine across from Notre Dame, and we're FaceTiming with my 5-year-old back here in Granger, Iowa, and it just can't help but hit you how small a world it is.
Oh yeah, we have people in probably 30 or 40 countries around the world, and at any time of day I can be getting text messages or internet messages from all kinds of different places around the world. It's just routine.
And since Joe doesn't sleep much, that probably does that. He's probably the one sending text messages to those folks at all hours. But the military initiative excites me. When you see the way our veterans, people are trying to come alongside our veterans as they come back and reintegrate, as they look for jobs, as they look for education, maybe retraining. I'll let whoever wants to jump at this one explain to our viewers what William Penn is doing in terms of that military initiative and how it fits in the bigger picture.
Let me first of all say, really pleased to have gotten the opportunity to get to know Tom Franks, General Franks, through National Park Foundation, hiking with him in national parks.
Now, would he say that as well, that he's been pleased to get to know you?
You'll have to talk with him about that. I don't speak for him. But I'm going to touch on something that's even more sensitive than that. The person who is really helping us tremendously with this is Kathy Franks, his wife. Kathy is a teacher by education, has her master's degree, but has been very involved during the time of his career and since with families, and education for families is a key part of it. And so Kathy has had a lot to do with shaping how we approach this, and she can make sure that we look at the relevant issues of what do they really need, who really needs it, the military member, the military member's spouse, the family, the kinds of circumstances they're in.
She has a really unique perspective on that, doesn't she?
Absolutely. I do have a picture I took of her in a hotel that we photoshopped that has a 5-star hotel that hangs over Tom's desk, that she is the 5-star general. So.
Well, practical application now. We've got obviously a collaboration. We identify there's a need and there's some ways to go about addressing that need. So boots on the ground, as it were, at William Penn, how are the military folks being impacted or served?
Well, and some of this comes from Tom's experience as to why we developed the program. Tom, like a lot of us, took a little different route to get his degree. He went back after he joined the military and got it, so he understands the challenges that they have. But our CWA program, with Molly Moeller directing the recruitment of that and the outreach, we are, and Tom Beasley at the state level, General Franks at a national level, we're now rolling that program out to the military. We have, and you were there when General Franks announced some funding from the American Legion for scholarships to help subsidize some of that so that they could come. But it's online in Iowa. It can be face-to-face in Clive or Oskaloosa, which we already have a significant military population there. We're looking at other parts of the country, and with the online, it gives us a flexibility that if you're deployed, you don't have to step out of school.
Wow.
We actually had someone who just returned from Afghanistan who started in Clive, went to Afghanistan, continued to take classes since they were online, and is now finishing up. So we're trying to fit the needs of the military personnel and demands on them because of their commitment to the country.
Well, in evangelistic terms, we try to meet people where they're at.
Yes.
You're doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
And I like your chances.
Yeah.
I like your chances. When you look at how this really impacts our state on a larger level, you know, we've heard in the news recently the governor is talking about the initiative that the state's rolled out in terms of trying to assist veterans in getting plugged in and finding employment. Big picture, guys, how does William Penn's role in this impact the state and that larger initiative with veterans?
We're trying to make sure that there are the appropriate resources available to give the veterans and current military personnel the opportunities to keep moving their education forward with that. As John mentioned, Tom Franks is particularly sensitive to that. At one time, the sign going into his museum down in Oklahoma, the first thing he had was a blow-up of his University of Texas report card, which had 1 C, 2 Ds, and an F. And then a sign beside it says, "Uncle Sam wants you," which is how he started his military career, and ended up a 4-star general with a lot of education, a lot of degrees that he had to get while he was doing that. And in this world, veterans, I mean, we're very fortunate to have the Iowa National Guard. That's a very strong military resource for our state and for our nation. And we need to make sure that we give them the tools to be able to continue to make their life relevant by continuing to grow their education and fit into society, whether they're part-time or whether they're deployed. You've got to keep learning.
Amen.
You know, one thing real quick too, part of the real life application, you're talking about employment, Molly and Dr. Welch, our academic dean, partnered with Principal and Home Depot and some other employees last year to do a work fair for the military. And that is something we're going to replicate elsewhere, and they could come in and get training
So
on
not only are you
interviews.
educating people, you're connecting
We're
people.
that is absolutely the whole. We're
What a
trying to serve
concept
totally.
in
Yes.
higher education. What a guys, I can tell you that, well, certainly this isn't pure sports content. It's exciting for me to hear your passion, obviously, about education, your passion about leadership, your passion about our state, and the military and the support and what you're doing to help veterans. We're excited to have you as a partner for our TV show, and certainly excited to have you on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Extra Points right after this. Fooled them again.
Okay, they're going at 8:30.
Okay. Good stuff. Now, John, what I'd like to do, you're off the hook.
That
What
works.
I'd like to do is see if I can't stump the expert here for a couple segments.
You'll never know if you stumped him.